Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back to Auto Transport Intel. Thank you so much for tuning in to DOT Compliance. It is Wednesday, it is noon Central Time, and that means it's time to talk about DOT, FMCSA regulations with your DOT guy, Brian Riker. He's here, he's with me, we're live. Actually, he's in the cab of a truck live, and I'm at my desk. But do me a favor, here's what I want you to do before we get started. Go ahead and hit that like button for me, and you can share this. You see that share button right below the video? Click that, click the copy button, grab the YouTube link, text it, email it, share it on social media, tap a friend, say, listen, you got a question? This is the show to help you get your questions answered, and let's get you fixed up so that you're good to go. We know you have a lot of questions. That's the purpose for the show. And also, if you are looking at starting your business, growing, and you want to talk to Ty and you want to have a seat at the round table, go ahead, go to autotransportintel.com, click on sign up, get signed up as an ATI insider, and also do me a favor, go ahead and jump into the live chat. There we got Ty's jumping in, best car shipping business channel on the planet. Thank you so much, Ty. I really appreciate that. Fritz Duval is with us. What's up, Fritz? We saw you guys last night, and we're here again. We wrapped 14 hours ago, and we're back because Auto Transport Intel is the car shipping business channel, and we got your back. So let's do this. Let's go ahead and jump into the show. Let me make sure I got the audio going. And Brian, can you see me and hear me okay?
Yes, I can, Jay. Good afternoon.
Hey, how are you doing?
I'm doing well. I am driving today, have a nice used truck to deliver on to a new owner, and then I'll be heading back to New Jersey, take a couple days off because we're coming up to Thanksgiving and back at it. But
Right.
I'm here today to discuss DOT compliance for everybody because it's a dog-eat-dog world out here. The scale houses are hungry, and we don't want to feed the bears if we don't have to.
I always notice when I'm on Facebook and they say, like, scale at marker near Tampa is busy and they're working hard. I pay attention. Even though I'm not a driver, I'm thinking, yeah, I'd like to get that information out there, right? Because if a scale is busy, it's good to know. Just like if you're a person driving, you want to know there's a speed trap coming up. We can all use all the help we can get all the time. Because it only takes that, don't you hate it? You're distracted. You're doing something, not severely distracted. You're minorly distracted, which, by the way, what's the difference when you're facing an officer? I was only minorly distracted. Oh, okay. But you did just say the keyword distracted. So go ahead. Why don't you go ahead and step out of the car? And there you go.
Yes.
And, it happens like that.
Well, speaking of distracted and dumb drivers, did you see the one the other day where the truck driver was pulled over and given a DUI, 0.14 blood alcohol?
Wow.
He was a car hauler. He was in the left lane blowing past a scale house that was open. That just says, I want to get caught. Come pull me over. I'm a dumbass.
No.
Yeah.
So what do you... Okay, what state was that in?
I can't remember, but it was a southern state. I want to say Georgia, but he was in a must-pull-in state. The scales were open, lights were on, and he was out in the third lane where he didn't even belong, fully loaded in a car hauler, and when they pulled him over, he was intoxicated.
Wow.
Yes.
And was
unbelievable.
Was he like a veteran driver? Was he just having a bad day? What do you think?
He was an older guy. He was a full-size car hauler. I believe it was a 9-car carrier. My mind's a little fuzzy on it because I saw it for about 3 seconds scrolling through Facebook in the airport on Monday on my way out of L.A.
Wow, man. I feel bad for, the thing is, I don't know what to say. I hate that, Like,
I do too.
That sucks, man. I mean, the guy's worked so hard. What happens now?
He's in trouble. A DUI in a commercial vehicle. He's going to lose his CDL. He's going to be uninsurable and unemployable for 5 years afterwards. So he'll end up working for a 1099 contractor somewhere that doesn't run a drug test and runs under the radar. And who knows, maybe that's what he already was. I don't know the fella. I can't talk bad about him, but I can say that he definitely made a mistake.
Do you think
And
he's...
speaking of that,
Yeah.
go ahead.
Well, do you think he's out of trucking? I mean...
He will be by the time he's convicted of that,
Yeah,
unless
that's
he has
what
a
I was
real good
thinking.
lawyer that can make it go away. He will be.
Will he
And,
serve time?
He could.
Yeah.
He could.
Golly.
DUI in a commercial vehicle is not the same as DUI in a passenger vehicle. I mean,
Right.
it's serious no matter what, but it is still... It is more serious in a commercial vehicle, and that does jog my memory on something you had asked me earlier before we were on air about important topics. The Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse program. It went live last January. Remember, owner-operators, small fleets, you have to have a query on your drivers that includes you as an owner-operator before January 6th of this coming year, 2021. And if you don't, it will be discoverable at roadside. This is how DOT is going to realize you're not enrolled in a drug testing program, because they will start looking at your clearinghouse record as part of a regular level 1 roadside inspection. So if you're not enrolled in the FMCSA clearinghouse and you have not checked on yourself and reported your drug testing results, then now is the time to get compliant with that. You've got just under 2 months. The enforcement starts January 6th of 2021.
So, you know, Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse is something that, you know, that it seems pretty harsh. I mean, I know there's a reason for it, but what I mean to say is it's really serious, right?
Yes.
As I laugh, right? It is extremely serious.
It is. It's very serious, and we're fortunate that in the transportation world we have a very low rate of drug and alcohol abuse in the trucking world. The number is somewhere in the 1% of the entire industry that is tested actually comes back with a positive test. So we are pretty good about policing ourselves, but 1% of 3 million truck drivers that are on the road is still several thousand. It's what, 30,000 is 1% of 3 million. I'm horrible at moving the decimal point over, but it's still a lot of impaired or intoxicated truck drivers that could be out on the road every day.
Well, and that's the whole point, is that that is part of the problem. In fact, okay, so let's do this. Let's go into the flip of the week, because we got a 30-minute show. And
yes, I don't want to derail us.
Yeah, well, so let's see. I shared this last night. Please don't drive like a bat out of hell. A guy actually took this photo out the cab. That was a truck next to him, and he was kind of ready. He was, the way people were driving. You can tell sometimes, can't you? Like, I've seen guys go fly, and I'm like, man, someone's gonna flip over. I mean, I'm like, I'm gonna add more stopping distance because I see a flaming Camaro in my future.
Oh, sure. In this particular picture there, that's not too far from where I live, is where that accident happened. And that company, I'm surprised, was able to go fast enough, but this just proves, even with a speed-limited governed truck, you can still drive too fast for the conditions. If I remember this incident the other day, the roads were, it was either wet or foggy or rain or
Yeah, you can see it's foggy.
And,
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we're looking at what I believe turned out to be a fatal accident, if I remember the local news story report on it properly.
I believe it. I mean,
and
yeah.
This is just tragic. Again, nothing is that important that we have to drive like maniacs. No schedule is that important. I would rather you be a couple minutes over on your logbook, and so would my motor carrier enforcement friends, than for you to drive like an idiot and kill yourself or somebody else. They're
maybe that's the defense. Maybe he was trying to keep up with his ELD.
Very well could be.
Could have been.
So what do we have here on the flip of the week?
So we have a flip of the week. This was shared, and I don't know where Highway 429 is, but
it's in Florida somewhere.
Okay. Oh, you're right, Florida. You're right. Okay, so even with my layman's eyes, I'm thinking lack of proper load distribution.
This is what we talked about on the debut show of this program, was load distribution, and I've spoke about it on your Tuesday Night Live. You have a very heavy truck high up over your hitch. That probably is a gooseneck hitch, although this could happen with a fifth wheel hitch as well. The truck that is high above the center of gravity is almost equal in weight to the truck you're pulling it with.
Yeah.
Another vehicle right behind it nothing on the tail. This is a completely preventable flip of the week if the driver wasn't too lazy to slide those vehicles further down the trailer. As we've seen in the Kaufman owner manual, and I'm sure other trailer manufacturers have it, they cover this in the manual with a picture that shows you, do not load it like that. Keep the weight down low on the trailer and move them forward as you add, or move them down as you subtract cars from the load. So fortunately, it doesn't look like anybody was hurt, just maybe the truck driver's pride and his pocketbook, but that could have been worse. What if he rolled that and there was a car on the inside of him when it rolled over and it landed on some little Toyota Prius or something?
What if there was what if there was a pedestrian or a bicyclist?
Exactly.
Oh my
I mean, we have a sidewalk there, but what if he had went over a little bit further? This could be tragic. We need to slow down and think about what we're doing and stop being lazy. Every one of us has done something on the lazy side. Every one of us has taken a chance we shouldn't have. I just hope that we've learned from it. But this flip of the week is what kills our insurance for all of us, whether you're running a wedge or you're running a 9-car carrier. We're a car hauler in the eyes of the insurance underwriters. They don't make a difference between the size of the truck. So when this continues to happen, it affects everybody in the industry and our profitability, and it garners attention from motor carrier enforcement because they look at the type of truck that's been involved in the accident and they say, wow, we got to really pay attention to car haulers because they're screwing up out there. And this is only a small portion of the overall industry. It's a large portion of our audience here, but it's a small portion of the overall industry, yet it's having a huge impact on our insurance rates in the industry right now.
Well, and it seems to be part of the reason why you hear a lot of the wedgie comments and this and that. And it's interesting, Ty was just pointing out, he strapped everything down great. So he took the time to strap everything down. And we do, you were just saying, you had a client that didn't take the time to move a car. What, right? Were they not going far? What's up with that?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't going that far. He's been in business a little over a year, and he had just come back up from Florida to New York with 3 cars on his truck. He stopped and delivered one. He was only driving basically across town to the next town over to deliver the other 2.
Yep.
He didn't take the time to turn
ELD's going, right?
Exactly. And a deer ran out in front of him, and in his effort to swerve to avoid the deer, he learned a hard lesson in center of gravity because it rolled his truck over. And it's just dumb luck that a deer ran out in front of the guy. He's a good, hard-working guy.
Man, I'm sure.
He actually stepped up and replaced his truck with a full semi now. He now has a full Peterbilt.
There you go, Ty. He moved up to a semi.
He moved up, but it's still a hard lesson that he learned, and it's going to haunt him for years with his insurance rate because of this. A rollover accident is the most serious type of accident that you can have in a commercial vehicle that doesn't involve another vehicle.
Wow.
And the insurance companies look very unfavorably at a rollover accident because their opinion is they are 100% preventable. Perhaps the only thing that's going to help this particular gentleman was there was an animal involved in it, and the officer put that on the police report. The officer put the cause of the accident was avoiding the deer that ran into the road, which brings me to my Wednesday wisdom. Hold your lane. If it's an animal, hit it. Don't try to save Bambi because you could hurt yourself, kill yourself, destroy your truck. All it takes is to catch that soft shoulder and you're gone. It sucks. It's going to do some damage to your truck, but it'll be trust me, it'll be a lot less damaging to hit the deer than to end up off in the ditch somewhere or upside down.
Yeah. I've actually made the cognitive decision that if an animal gets in front of my vehicle, looks like we're going to have some roadkill.
Yes, and it's sad. I don't care what animal it is. You just have to do it.
But yeah, you swerve, and man, now you've got kill. You've got all kinds of craziness.
Exactly. And if we apply the insurance underwriting guidelines, which are mirrored in the American Trucking Association preventable or not preventable crash guidelines, swerving to avoid an animal strike that causes you to wreck is a preventable crash. Striking an animal that ran into your path is deemed a non-preventable crash.
Right.
So whatever you do, just hit the animal.
Maybe we can get some bumper stickers made up. I really like this. Okay, let's move on to okay. Let's do the copy of certificate, because that one, we've seen that one before. We saw it. I don't have an image, but it was shared on Facebook. Somebody said, "Man, I need a copy of my certificate, my MC authority, right? Whether it's from my packet or whatever, and I can't find it anywhere. What do I do?"
Well, that's a very important document. So the first thing you do when you get your original one is you scan and make a digital copy of it to keep on your computer. That said, if you lose it somewhere, it's not the end of the world, and you don't have to pay a third-party service to get it. Again, I'm in the business of doing compliance and getting paperwork for my customers, but my conscience doesn't allow me to charge you for stuff that you can do yourself. So what you need to do is, and we should all do this before it becomes last minute, I absolutely need access, you need to create access to your FMCSA portal. That is your interface with Federal Motor Carrier Safety Administration, the USDOT. It gives you access, protected via a username and a PIN number. It gives you access to every document they've ever sent you, gives you access to order replacements such as a replacement certificate of authority. It gives you access to see in almost real time any enforcement actions against you. It's updated much sooner than the public-facing CSA website we're all familiar with at looking at our own data, or the SaferSys website that we're all familiar to look at our own data with. It's really a great little access tool FMCSA gives you. And to tie into my opening about Federal Motor Carriers Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse, in order for you to set up the authorities for your designated employer representative, which could be yourself, could be your spouse, could be someone that works for your drug testing consortium, you need to have a portal account first to give yourself permission in the Drug and Alcohol Clearinghouse account to be the company representative. So in today's day and age, we can't just do everything by pen and paper anymore. The government is going all online. You need to set up your portal account. It's not something that costs you. It's done for free. You go to the FMCSA.dot.gov website, put in the search bar portal. It'll take you to the page to sign up for your portal account. It takes a couple days to get access to it because they have to verify you are who you say you are. And once you have access to your portal, then you can go in and order documents and stuff. If that seems a little too complicated, you can always call your local field service office for Federal Motor Carrier. You can find that phone number on the FMCSA website. They have a field office in every state. They will get back to you. They can generally order a copy of that document to be mailed to you. Or you can email FMCSA at the Ask FMCSA page on their website. Give them your DOT number, tell them what you need, and somebody will get back in touch with you. And I should note, I always tell you DOT does not send you an email. That is the one time the DOT will respond to you by email because you initiated the request first. Because remember, in my series on fraud, we get a lot of emails that try to look official, and they're really crap. In this particular case, you initiated the contact by email first. FMCSA will reply by email.
And I like that you mentioned the clearinghouse too, because again, clearinghouse is really important. It seems like one of those things that could be easy to just, you put it on a sticky, the sticky ends up under some boot and you forget about it, and then suddenly you're at a scale and somebody says, I don't see you in the clearinghouse. And I did read, if you're an owner-operator, you have to do both as the business and the driver, right?
Correct.
Right.
Everybody that holds a CDL needs to create a clearinghouse account so they can give their employer permission to run their drug and alcohol record. And if you also happen to be a owner-operator, you're the owner of the trucking company, you need to create the account as the motor carrier, as the trucking company. And also for one truck owner-operators that do not have employee drivers, you must have a drug testing consortium that will report the information to the clearinghouse. Not every drug testing consortium out there will do the electronic reporting of your drug test results to the clearinghouse. The DOT is not allowing you to self-report when you are the owner driver. So You must make sure with your drug testing program that they are willing and able to report the results directly to the clearinghouse on your behalf if you are a one-truck owner-operator.
And I apologize that some of this really it's dry material, and it seems like a
Very.
bedtime story, and it's so important. I don't know if you'll have time to watch this video while you're waiting at the scale house before the officer comes back and tells you to, that you're going to need to have to step out and put your hands behind your back. So I don't know exactly what happens in these situations because I haven't personally been there, but I've heard, Gina Kessler and Jay at IES, Impact Employee Solutions, they've been on the show. And when they talk about the clearinghouse, because they're talking about it from a regulatory, third-party, unbiased position other than, agency rules, man, it is as serious as a heart attack, this thing.
It is, and it really is going to do the job that they intended. It's something that FMCSA actually got right. The intent is to keep drivers that fail drug tests from being able to just change employers before that paperwork catches up to them. Let's say you employ a driver and you haven't sent him for a random test in months because his name just hasn't been called. Well, he goes and he wants to go to work for somebody else, and he goes and he fails the pre-employment drug test. He doesn't tell you he's looking for a job. You're not going to know he failed that drug test because you're not going to know he went down the street looking for a job, and he's going to keep right on driving your truck where he may be a drug user or have some substance abuse problem. Well, what happens with the clearinghouse is that pre-employment test gets automatically reported, and you're going to do your annual query, so it may be a couple months later, but you're going to catch them. The other part is what happens in 2 years from now. The states will have to run the clearinghouse record before they can renew or issue a CDL. So the state is going to catch on that your drug test came back positive. And so you're going to then lose your license. It is a very serious thing, but it's serious in a good way because it's going to take the substance abuse operators off of our highways. It's better than the old paper and mail it out, hope you get it back, fax it out, hope you get it back, I'm afraid to give you the information type of results we've had for years. This is a way to actually have an impact with drug and alcohol testing and take impaired drivers and take them out of the system until they complete the return to duty process and someone says that they do not have a substance abuse problem anymore. So it is serious, and it's very serious, especially for those of you that have your own authority. If you do not have a compliant drug testing program, that's one of the 16 deadly sins that they can immediately pull your operating authority for. FMCSA takes this very serious. So if you're not in a drug testing program and you've been skating by under the radar as a one-truck owner-operator for years, and I know a lot of guys that have, those days are coming to an end because starting in January, they're going to look for your company being enrolled in the clearinghouse and having active drug test results reported to the company. So it's time to think about how you're going to manage drug and alcohol testing for your company, whether you're one truck or a small fleet, because they will pull your operating authority if you do not have a compliant drug testing program.
So my hope is that somebody right now, is like, I think we probably got somebody's attention, or somebody knows somebody who is ready to get this information, and something happens good, and so we can say, all right, we helped somebody today, right? I hope that's what happens. Okay, what I want to do, you said something important. Getting an email from, what'd you say, from the DOT? Tell me more about UCR and emails, because you talk about this topic. What's going on?
Yes, very rarely does the federal government actually send you a first notice via email. They will if you've previously reached out to them by email, and the UCR board is one of the few that does send official email notices out when you're delinquent on your registration. Again, we need to look at the email address very closely, make sure it actually ends in a .gov extension. That will mean it's coming from an official source. And if you're in doubt about it, don't click on any links in it because it could put malware on your computer. It could take you to a website that is charging you fees you don't have to pay. If you're in doubt, I'll happily look at it and help you out, or just pick up the phone and call the agency it's supposedly from to verify it. But look at emails at .gov. That'll tell you it's real. UCR has been doing courtesy emails to let carriers and brokers and freight forwarders know that they're delinquent on their fees before there are any enforcement actions taken against them. Because remember, UCR applies to everybody in the freight shipping channel. We have the motor carrier who owns and operates the trucks have to pay UCR based on the number of trucks in their fleet. Freight forwarders and brokers have to pay for a basic UCR registration because they have a DOT number. It really is that simple. And it is due. The payment period opened in October. We're back on track of doing it on time this year. It must be paid by December 31st. Enforcement can begin as soon as January 1st of 2021. Generally, they'll give you a couple of days, but there is no grace period with UCR. You have 2 months prior to the first of the year to get it filed.
And you said this applies to brokers as well? That question came up?
Correct.
It does?
Yes. Yes, it
will
does.
That surprise a lot of people?
And freight forwarders. Oh, it probably will. Smaller brokers that are new at this game, it probably will. Brokers and freight forwarders. Freight forwarders are someone we don't talk about all that often, but freight forwarders would bring in multiple cars into one lot, consolidate them, or multiple packages into one facility, consolidate them into one truckload, and then ship them out. It's a different type of authority than a broker authority, because the freight forwarder is akin to a motor carrier. They take responsibility for that freight, whereas the broker doesn't take legal responsibility for the freight. The trucking company maintains that. But yes, motor carriers, brokers, and freight forwarders have UCR filing obligations.
I like that clarification. Let's do this. We only got a few more minutes left. This show goes so fast. Can you believe that? It's 12:27. We have the rules of the road. This is written by Hank Seaton, Henry E. Seaton, Esquire. And Hank is a friend of the show, and he's been on the show before. And tell me more about, so you were reading Rules of the Road. You got a copy and you read it?
Yes, I got a copy of Hank's book and I read it. For someone like me who's in this business, I found it absolutely fascinating. It's a fairly simple read. He does a very good job of breaking extremely complex topics down into easy to understand, digestible bites. Hank is accurate on everything in the book. The book is a couple of years out of date. His last revision of it was 2016 or 17, but 99% of what's in that book is still perfectly accurate. It will make you think. If you own a trucking company, you should read a copy of this book, because it will make you think about liability in a whole different manner. It'll make you think about compliance in a whole different manner, because he brings up some situations that most people probably would not think about, such as how the bill of lading protects you as the trucking company from not getting paid. It's the bill of lading is your title to the freight. That's how you can go around the broker when the broker doesn't pay you and go back to the shipper. The bill of lading protects you from other liability. There's limits of liability if you use the proper standard bill of lading form that is prescribed for most truckload shipments. You can actually relieve yourself of a lot of liability for that freight. The bill of lading becomes part of your contract with your broker, so it's very important you don't just use some half-butt homemade bill of lading, that you actually have one with the right terms and conditions attached to it. And here's another little one for those of us that need accessorial charges or detention charges. If we publish a tariff to our company website or otherwise make a tariff available to our customers, we can normally include that in our broker-carrier agreement, and then the broker is bound to pay you for your truck ordered not used and other accessorial charges. So he also does a great job explaining what the pitfalls are of broker-carrier agreements and what to look for, so you're not signing away all of your legal rights and all of your protections that are afforded to you. So it's a great book. I found it very informative. It refreshed my memory on a couple of things. I learned a couple of things reading the book. I really enjoyed my time on the panel on the Tuesday Night Live show with Hank when we were talking about brokers. He's an expert in broker-carrier relationships, and I hope that we'll get the chance to have him on this show one day.
Yeah, I want to get his attention and let him know that we're talking about him. And you just hit upon an important topic. I wasn't going to bring up broker transparency, but it's in the news again. Broker transparency, there's many carriers know that they feel like the system is gamed against them, where the broker can keep whatever they want, right, and then give the scraps to the carrier. Well, apparently, what we're being reminded of is there is a law that lets the carrier look to see what the broker's making on the transaction. But that's not common knowledge,
Absolutely.
I don't think.
It probably isn't for a lot of the newer motor carriers, and it's not put into practice by a lot of the brokers, because a lot of your broker carrier agreements require you to sign away or waive your right to see those records and that transparency, because the broker industry feels that they're no longer a commission sales agent of the trucking company. Their rate includes so much more than just the rate for moving the freight, because they do other value-added services, provide software to the shipper, etc. And in some cases, they may be correct. Some cases, they're not. But in either way, at least have that discussion with your broker about signing away your rights, and seeing what their actual rate is. You're probably not going to get very far with it. The brokers want to protect their rates. It really is proprietary information to them. They don't want their competition to know what they're charging for a lane. And in some cases, the shippers don't want the competition to know what they're paying to move freight in the same lane, because that is all how they make their money. But it still is our right. It is a right granted to us by Federal Motor Carrier. It goes back to the ICC days. So at least read about it. At least understand it. I think we're going to see some movement on this. It's probably not going to be in the direction that truckers want it to be in. I really think Transportation Intermediaries Association is going to win with their push to remove the transparency rules because of the way the system has changed. I hope that I'm wrong. I really do. But it's not really the end of the world either, because I've never cared what the broker made on the freight when I moved. I used very little broker freight when I owned my fleet anyhow, but I never really cared what the broker made on the load as long as I was happy with my rate, and they paid me on time, and they paid me my accessorial charges when I had a truck ordered, not used, or detention. That was more of my problem. But it is great to have that information to help you figure out what pricing could be or should be for a lane. And I think we're going to see some more action on this sometime next year. The FMCSA had a couple listening sessions on it. They've taken some great input, and we'll see what they do with it. I'm hoping that with the change, and I don't want to get political, but I'm hoping with the change of presidential administrations that the FMCSA continues down the path they've been on, where they've been very responsive to the trucking industry. They've listened to us. They've come out to meet us at truck shows. They've had online listening sessions where truckers can participate. We don't get enough truckers to participate, but at least the invitation is open. We finally have a seat at the table, if you will. So I'm hoping that continues with the new administration come January. And in the meantime, something's going to happen with broker transparency no matter what administration's in charge. I just hope it's something beneficial for our industry.
Well, and I think you pointed out, and I mean, you taught me this, is that the FMCSA, I guess after deregulation from the ICC, the FMCSA is a safety-oriented organization, and broker transparency is not a safety issue.
Correct. It is not.
Really
Some people are trying to make the argument that it is because without enough money, we can't properly maintain our equipment and stuff, but that's just poor business skills if you're not getting enough money for the freight you're moving. And so I really do think that FMCSA is going to take the position that broker regulation is not safety. It should go under the Uniform Commerce Code instead, which then leaves it up to the courts to administer and regulate, or leaves it up to the courts to I'm going blank on the word I'm looking for, but we won't have the FMCSA to enforce. It leaves it up to the courts to enforce it, which means it's only enforced by very expensive lawsuits. So that's my personal opinion of where it's going.
All right, we're going to finish this up, but we do have a question. I'm going to open up the live chat. And thanks, everybody, for tuning into the live chat. Fritz Duval has a question for you. Okay, Brian. Do owner-operators have to report the MCS 150 mileage miles every year?
Every year, no. Every other year. You do it the same time you do your biannual update. So the biannual update is based on the last 2 digits of your US DOT number. If your DOT number ends in an even digit, then every even year you'll do your biannual update. If it ends in an odd digit, every odd year. And then the second to last digit, 1 through 0, will tell you January through October is when your biannual update is due. Again, with your FMCSA PIN, you can do the biannual update online for free. And so if, let's say that your DOT number ended in 70, then in July of 2020, you would have to have done your biannual update. You would have reported your mileage for the year 2019, because that's your last complete calendar year. And then you would be due again in 2022, where you would report your mileage for 2021. So no, owner-operators do not have to report it annually. Your mileage is reported biannually, just like the update.
So it sounds like just a solid tip is, if you're an owner-operator, go to the fmcsa.dot.gov website, create an account, and that's one of the ways to help manage your authority in the eyes of the FMCSA as well as other regulatory agencies. Yeah. Right?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It allows you to pay attention to what's going on with your account. It allows you to log in and do your biannual update by yourself without paying a service fee for it. And through the FMCSA account, you will learn some stuff about your company that may be incorrect. You may see some data in there that you want to dispute. You will see where you're standing for any potential intervention or enforcement actions. And the FMCSA website in general, even without a login account, is a great source of information. They have a safety management planner available on there that answers most of these questions for you. And then if you decide it's too complicated for you, then you go seek out the help of a professional. But a lot of the little things you can answer for yourself just with a couple of clicks through their safety planner or their frequently asked questions page.
Yeah, there's a lot of information up there, and we know there's so much information up there that it's really helpful to be able to ask questions direct from somebody like yourself. Brian, you've got Fleet Compliance Solutions LLC, right? I'm going to go ahead and share the website up here. And you also, if that's too hard to recall, you can just type in YourDOTGuy.com, right?
Yes, sir. Makes it very simple. YourDOTGuy.com.
Cool. And Brian is available to help answer questions offline. He runs a company, Fleet Compliance Solutions LLC, where he helps drivers stay compliant. And what all do you do at Fleet Compliance Solutions?
I help companies navigate the complex regulatory world. I specialize in non-traditional fleets like tow companies, auto transport companies, construction companies. I do everything from help you get your new authority, get your authority reinstated if it's suspended, help you decide what you want to do, or challenge a inspection report if you think you had a bogus inspection on the road. I can help you with a data queue process, or tell you no, you don't have a leg to stand on. I am not an attorney, but I can recommend you to an attorney if you need one. Basically, if you have a question about trucking or trucking compliance, I'm your first stop to ask. I also, in the state of Pennsylvania, I do CDL training. I'm a very small scale school, but I train probably 10 or 15 Class A truck drivers a year, teach them how to actually drive, not just how to pass a test. And outside of Fleet Compliance Solutions, I also am heavily involved in the towing industry. I write for American Towman Magazine, Tow Industry Week, and I work with Worldwide Equipment Sales to sell Cottrell car haulers, Landau, and Kale and Siebert trailers, and the Jerdan line of tow trucks. So a little bit of everything.
That's awesome. That's fantastic. It's quite a resume. Well, we're lucky to have you. I really appreciate, I love the show that we've created. This is the third DOT Compliance Wednesday show. We have a couple more before 2021, and then we're going to go to every week. Are you ready for that?
I'm excited about it, Jay. There's just so much to cover that 30 minutes every other week is not enough.
It's not enough. So if you joined us today, thank you so much for doing so. Brian, thank you for your time. I'm going to let everybody go. I'm going to end this meeting. Brian, stay safe out there, okay?
Thank you, Jay.
And
Talk
hey,
to everybody in 2 weeks.
Have a nice holiday, and I'll see you in December.
Same here.
Okay, man.
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Take care.
All right, take care. Bye. And that is the end of the meeting with Brian. That is so cool. DOT Compliance is here every other Wednesday right now. Like I just said, we're going to do a couple more shows this year, and then starting 2021, we're going to be live. How is the audio, by the way? I don't know why the audio level changes. Check, check, check. I'm just finishing the show, but I'm such a perfectionist, I've got to have the audio levels where I need them. Anyways, we're going to go every week starting in January 2021. It'll be every Wednesday at noon Central Time, DOT Compliance, only on Auto Transport Intel, the Car Shipping Business Channel. Thank you guys so much for tuning in. We'll see you tomorrow at noon on Dispatching Live. Get load board search advice with me and Sue. It's a 90-minute show, so buckle in, bring your questions, and get ready to book some loads in the spot market in auto transport. You guys stay safe, and I'll see you soon.